everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ready Set Pop. My name is Mariel Basori, greeting you from Mexico City, and I'm here with my beautiful co hosts. All the way from Brazil is Lucas Apache, and all the way from the beautiful Colombia is Mauricio Sierra. Hey, boys!
Hello,
Hello
Maria.
guys,
Hello,
how are you
Mauricio.
today?
It's so good to see you.
Yes.
It's yes, totally. So good to see you guys.
Well, welcome to another episode. This is track 12 of Ready Set Pop. Today's episode is it's a topic that I chose, and it's dedicated to all those who were in a band and then decided to go solo. It's gonna be a really interesting episode. I know there are a lot of artists that we can talk about, but this time we are focusing only on some. Don't worry if we are not mentioning the ones you are hoping, because this is probably gonna have a follow up episodes. So, first of all, I would like to mention someone who we all know who she is. She began her career in early 2000s when she joined Eden's Crush, the first show from Popstars, the US. And then she joined the Pussycat Dolls in 2005, recorded a couple of albums, and then she decided to go solo. So we are talking about Miss Nicole Scherzinger. Nicole is someone that we all know in the pop world because of her amazing vocal range, of her amazing dance move and stuff. But probably her solo career hasn't been as successful as we would all like to be. And I would like to know, what are your thoughts about her, Lucas? Because we all know she was part of two important girl groups, especially mostly the Pussycat Dolls, and she was like the main girl because she's the one that used to be singing the whole part. So and she was shining there. The group was very successful. But what do you think happened when she decided to go solo?
Well, I gotta say that back then I was very excited for her solo career. I used to like her voice on the Pussycat Dolls a lot in the song, so I was very excited. And at first, when she released the first single, whatever you like, I really enjoy it. I used to listen to the song all the time. For me, the production is very on point. It's a sound that was very appealing for the time, 2007. And the second single, Baby Love, with will.i.am, was very successful here in Brazil, like a huge hit on the radio. So I was expecting to see her making a big impact in the music, but the album never came. Her name is Nicole. But for me, maybe the only explanation for that is the maybe her personality, because we know a lot of stories of behind the scenes involving her, and maybe it became an issue for her with the label, or I don't know, and even for the public to see her as a likable person, and to make her more big in her solo career, because sometimes amazing songs can be not enough. We know a lot of stories like this. So for me, maybe her personality was the issue, the real issue.
What do you think, Mao? Do you think that's something that had to do with the fact that she didn't get the success she deserved? Do you think she has a difficult personality, like a different attitude, or what do you think?
Yes, I agree with Luquillas. I think her personality is very difficult. We saw, for example, in Eda's Crunch, all the time in the reality, the pop stars, if the audience had the opportunity to watch this series, we saw this difficult personality of her, and other ladies were against her, and she was trying to be the spotlight all the time. I perceived that. Another thing that I consider was not good for her, it's about the musical genre, because she was, for example, in Pussycat Dolls, she was mixing R&B and some hip hop and pop vibes. But suddenly, when she released her debut album, she was in the same direction, but for me, it's like you can see, it's not possible to see any different for other singers at that time. For example, Beyonce or Carrie Hilson that was working with Timbaland at the same time with her, you don't see anything different. Like it's the same thing. Like her voice is okay, but it's not huge. I mean, she's a beautiful, she's gorgeous. I mean, she's incredible. Her physical appearance is incredible, but and her dancing, it's great too. But I think she's nothing different for the others. In that moment in time when she debuted as a solo singer, she was not offering something different to the audience, to the public. I think that was the other reason, maybe,
Yes.
for her.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't think we saw something that was like a huge boom and that we said, "Oh my
Yes.
god, this is so fresh, this is so cool." Like, no, it's like standard songs, like nothing
Yes.
nothing wow.
Yes, actually, I don't know if you remember, guys, when she released "Don't Hold Your Breath."
I love this one. Yes.
I love that song. Yes, I was about to say that because I perceive in that song that she was doing what she really was in that song. Her personality was more shiny for me in that song. But for example, in the others, I enjoyed the songs. For example, the song that Lucky just mentioned, "Whatever You Like" with Ti.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's a good song, but it's an average R&B pop track for me.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that her attitude has a lot to do with it. Like you mentioned, when she was in Popstars,
Totally.
she was always trying to be on the spotlight, being like the main girl. And when she was in the Pussycat Dolls,
Was the same story.
we could all say that it was Nicole and her friends. So
Yes.
we could never see the other girls shining the same way she did because she always had the same headshots. Everything was all about her, and they were like backing dancers, and so you couldn't feel them as part of the group, even though they were part of the group, but not as singers. More like dancers.
Yes, more like dancers.
Yes.
Yes. And if you see, every girl has beautiful voices. For example,
Melody Thornton.
Melody Thornton.
Yes.
Melody Thornton has an amazing voice. I like her voice so much. She's gorgeous too, but you can only see Nicole shining.
Yes, and she sometimes has like this very I'm like the superstar attitude. I don't know if you guys remember
Yes.
on an episode.
Like a diva attitude.
Yes, in an episode of The X Factor, when a girl was auditioning and doing a Whitney Houston song, "I Will Always Love You," and she didn't do it like we were all expecting. So, and Simon was making fun of her, and all of a sudden Nicole was like, "I auditioned with that same song when Popstars the show came out, and I did it like this," and she began singing and doing like, "Oh my god, check out my voice, and I'm amazing." And so she made the other girl look like. So I don't think she should have that kind of attitude, because we all know. I mean, we know you have talent, but you don't have to be so
Yes.
like, "Oh my god, look at me, I'm the
Yeah.
best."
And on the
Yes.
US version of the X Factor, she also sent home a little girl that was Rachel Crow. She was the youngest. She was like a kid, and Nicole clearly had a better choice to send home, and she chose this girl. So America was very mad with Nicole at the point, because it was very sad. The girl like fell on stage crying like a baby, and Nicole was like, "Oh my god, what I did." But she was kind of mean in this episode. I want to remember everyone that is watching us that it is our personal opinion.
Yes.
There's nothing
Of course,
here
yeah.
can be said like the real truth, because to be honest, sometimes I think that is very fun, this Nicole attitude, but I can definitely see why people don't like sometimes. So it's our personal opinions. Please share, you that is watching, your opinion with us in the comments.
Yes.
It's open for you.
Why do you think that Nicole didn't do as well as we all thought she would do as a solo singer? So, anyway.
Yes, yes,
Don't forget,
totally.
this is our personal opinion, because sometimes.
Yes. Important disclaimer.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes we get like, "Why are you saying this?" No. It's nothing against Nicole. We're just analyzing her career.
Yes.
So.
And we can easily disagree between the three of us.
Oh
Like Mal
yes.
said that
Yes.
he don't think that her voice is that much good. For me, it is. So is
Yes.
our personal opinions for sure, and that's the fun of the thing.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. But anyway, I
Exactly.
mean, she did a couple of good jobs. I have here her album Killer Love. It has some very good songs, but some I believe that are kind of forgettable. If you ask me, it's like I can't remember this song. Like I can't remember this other because they don't have like this catchy thing that a song should have. That when you say, "Oh yes, that song," it has a
Oh,
very
yeah.
catchy
Oh,
tune or
personality. Yes.
exactly. So yeah, I really like a song called Poison, and which was also a single. That one is very catchy. I really like that song.
Yes.
Anyway, what are your favorite songs by Nicole, guys?
For me, it's whatever you like, and don't hold your breath. Actually, there is online the demo version of the song. For me, is even better, but the instrumental that she was using was very similar to Jason Derulo song in my head that
Oh,
I also love it back then. So I think for this reason they changed it, the whole instrumental part. But for me, it's her best. Is don't hold your breath for sure.
and you, Mao?
I love Don't Hold Your Breath, of course. And there is another song that is with 50 Cent that I can
Right
remember
Ah,
the
there,
name.
it's right
Right
there.
there, right
right
there.
there,
Thank
right
you,
there.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Lucky. Yes, I love that song too. And I love the song with the version with 50 Cent better. Because there is a song that is a solo version with of her. I
Yeah.
prefer the song with the version with 50 Cent.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and my favorite is Poison. So we have different choices. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Actually, I never heard Poison, so I have to check it out.
Yes, yes, do. It's a really fun song. Now, Lucas, I know you have now for us a guy that was in a boy band. Let us all know who it is.
It's a Nick. Actually, I could choose a lot of Nicks because I really like Nick Jonas, Nick Lachey, but this time it's Nick Carter.
Okay.
Ah, yes.
Yes, I chose him because he was one of my first idols when I was a kid. I discovered the Backstreet Boys when I was like 6 years old, and I remember that I was like fascinated by Nick Carter because he was so young and his voice was sounded really young. He still does, and for me it was easy to sing his parts. I don't know, and I grew up like being very fan of this guy, and it's very common for a boy band guy to try something solo. But in the case of Nick, uh, look, it was supposed to be the perfect timing because they have this rivalry with NSYNC that everyone knows. And Justin Timberlake was about to release his first solo record that Marielle will talk about more later with us. Go.
Okay, yes, I have to say that I did my homework with that song. I perceive because we had a conversation with you, and I perceive the Brian Adams influence on him, and I perceive too that in comparison to Nick Carter and Justin Timberlake that Mariel will going to talk about later, I think the direction of Nick Carter was more pop rock oriented, and I think it's because he was influenced of the because he was influenced by that. So yes, I think it's not an amazing song. Actually, I was listening to the song and I remember that that song actually played on the radio here in Colombia. Not a huge hit, but I remember that song. So yes, I think it's a good song. I think it was a good direction for him, but I think it was not like a huge release like in
Okay.
the Justin Timberlake case.
Could be a stronger
If we
single for
compare,
you. Okay.
yes, it was not like a strong single or like a strong, yes, like a strong release for me. But it is good. It's good.
And
I,
you,
I was
Marielle.
expecting more.
Okay.
I do remember seeing the video here on MTV Mexico, and it had moderate success. It wasn't like a huge hit because I do remember and recall some of the girls from my high school that were having a huge crush on Nick Carter back in the day, and so they used to sing to the song, but mostly because of them, because I couldn't recall listening to it on the radio. I kind of remember more seeing Justin Timberlake back in the day, and his videos and everything was like super wow everywhere. So I think Nick
Yeah.
was a little underrated, to be honest. And like Mao just said, I also listened to the other song, "Cry for You."
Do I have to cry for you?
Do I have to cry for you? I could sense that it was Brian Adams singing. I'm like,
Yes.
this is Brian
Yes.
Adams. Yes.
Yes.
This one is very Bryan Adams. Actually, was the second single. The album is this one, now or never. Here in Brazil, both songs were huge. Like "Help Me" was part of a soap opera soundtrack, so it was everywhere. And "Do I Have to Cry for You" was one of the biggest songs 2003 here in Brazil. Actually, this song was being played in popular radios in Brazil that only plays music in Portuguese, basically. So this song was out of the bubble here in Brazil for some reason. It's a very beautiful song. But you guys are right. On the US, that's supposed to be his big market. The album was number 19 on the Billboard 200 charts, and the single did not enter on the Billboard Hot 100. Was good only on the radios. Some radios were playing, but was very moderated success. And he came back to the Backstreet Boys shortly after this in 2003, after releasing another single, "I Got You." They reunited to help AJ that was with some alcoholic problems, so they decided to move on and work on Never Gone. But Nick Carter was working on a second album that never saw the light of the day. The only sneak peek that you can find online is a song called "Let It Go," that there's like 10 seconds of the song because it was the theme song of the reality show he did, the House of Carters. It was a very bad idea for the family, if you ask me.
Agree.
It was a mess. And Nick Carter released a second album years later, 2011, that is "I'm Taking Off." My favorite from the solo career is here. It's "Great Divide," that would be on our playlist. In 2015, he released "All American," and he did a lot of other things like "The Masked Singer" and a few singles here and there. And the last release was a song in tribute to Aaron Carter that suddenly passed, and he made the song "Hurt to Love You" about Aaron. And he's on a solo tour now too, so we can see more. But Nick is now doing music for passion, not trying to become bigger than the Backstreet Boys that actually are still together, differently of NSYNC, because Justin kind of became bigger, I guess. So Mariel, please talk a little bit about Justin Timberlake for us.
Yes, thank you, Lucas, for talking about Nick Carter. There are many things I didn't know, so thank you for enlightening us with your knowledge on Mr. Carter. Now it's time to talk about, like you mentioned, another guy that came from a boy band, and this is Justin Timberlake. Nashville born, Mr. Justin. He released his debut album, Justified, in 2002. After NSYNC's third album, Celebrity, came out, like he started working on this album. And I gotta say, guys, this is a masterpiece. I adore this album. It's completely great in every way. I mean, we know he worked with great producers like the Neptunes and Timbaland, and he kind of stayed on the same line that he was working on NSYNC. Like we were talking about the other day, NSYNC's latest single, "Girlfriend," which featured Nelly, was more like an R&B vibe song, and so he tried to remain on the same level and of what they did with "Girlfriend," because "Girlfriend" was a huge success, and you can actually see a lot of resemblances between his debut single, "Like I Love You." So he did very well on the charts. This album picked up number 2 on the Hot 200, and his first singles, "Like I Love You," "Cry Me a River," and "Rock Your Body," were a massive success. the album was internationally known, and he's also a great dancer. We all know that Justin is a great dancer. He also changed his looks, so he looked a little bit more mature than when he was on NSYNC, that he looked more like a teenager. So I think that the whole work with Justin was right. They tried to really make a new pop star sensation, and they definitely hit it with him. They whoever was in charge of his uh, public image did a good job because he was on the
Yeah.
right track all the time. So he definitely is a great singer, and I think that his choices for singles from this album were great. I don't know what you guys think, Mao. I know you are a huge R&B fan, and this album has a lot of R&B vibes. What are your thoughts on Justin? Do you think that his solo career is a success? What do you think?
Yes, yes, indeed, totally. I have to say I'm not a huge Justin Timberlake fan. I love the production on Justify. Of course, I think Timbaland is one of the most hottest producer in history. I love, of course, the work that he did with one of my idols, that is Aaliyah. And I think he replicates a lot of things in the work with Justin. I love this album. Maybe Cry Me a River was one of the songs of my foundation of my adolescence, I think. I love the album. I was thinking actually that with the elements that they use in Justin, I don't know what happened, for example, in the case of Nick, because Nick is gorgeous. Nick has had all the elements to become a huge star. He was the favorite for the Backstreet Boys, and in the case of Justin, was almost the same. Like he was very likable for the fans in NSYNC, but I think this is the perfect example when a producer and with a team uses all the good elements to become this guy and a star. And I think it was an amazing result. I love the production, as I said. It is a great production, and I think it was a clever move to make this album in the same vibe of the work in Celebrity by NSYNC. Like it's like a continuation that he was doing. And I think it was great. I think it was great. There are some songs that I don't love so much, like for example, Señorita is not one of my favorite songs. I prefer other songs that for me would be perfect like as a singles. For example, that song with Janet Jackson. I don't know if you remember the name, guys. He
Um,
it's
but it's not on his
she
album.
it's on that album. Janet Jackson is like doing some vocals, not like an official featuring.
Um,
He she goes with it's a song with the I don't know how to say it. She goes with she goes
Take Me
with
Now.
something.
Take Me Now.
I think it's that.
Right
Yes.
for me. Let's take a ride. I don't know because I really don't recall a song featuring Janet. I remember their
Me neither.
performance on the Super Bowl, but not.
Oh yeah, yeah. With the with the verse
Yeah.
controversial. Yes. Yes. No. No. There is a song that with Janet Jackson that Janet Jackson was doing some vocals.
It's a
Maybe not an
background
official.
vocal.
Yeah, like a backup, but you can hear the Janet Jackson
Oh my
voice.
God.
Okay.
So I think that song, I love that song, and I think that song would be perfect as a single instead of Señorita. But the other singles like Rock Your Body, Cry Me a River, that I think it's incredible. I love that album, and I perceive that album very R&B, like pop and B, if I
Well,
say.
yes, he's definitely focused on those genres. And I was going to ask Lucas because Justin took some time to release his second album, like 4 years after the release of Justified. He decided to release his second, Future Sex Love Sounds, which is also an amazing work. And he decided to go into a different direction. He was also, mixing pop with R&B, but he was also playing with some electronic vibes, more techno. What are your thoughts on this album, Lucas? Because I know there were a lot of mixed reviews about it when it came out.
Okay, first of all, I gotta say that I feel that Justin definitely knew how to play the game, to be relevant because there was a lot of background stories around him with Britney, and definitely the production was bigger, and so his image was on point, and I feel like he was on fire to make this happen. And amazing, great choice of songs and singles. So that's why I think he did way better than Nick Carter too. But for this second album, I feel like he could be more free to create because of how big the first one was. But for me sounded weird at first because it's a little bit experimental. Like Sexy Back now when you listen is very normal. But back then when I played for the first time I was like thinking this song is kind of annoying because it's repeating constantly the
Yes.
same thing, the same thing, the same thing. And suddenly I was addicted to the track even more with My Love that was the
Mm-hmm.
second single.
Yeah.
And but for me, again, like the first album is one album that had like amazing tracks that you can listen to forever, and other tracks that are kind of forgettable. So maybe that's the reason why I listened to the Nick Carter album more because it was not that strong, but was like um, something that was kind of similar from the beginning to the end, so it can turn into one thing. And for me, Justin was like this, the tracks. But I feel like in this, he definitely have had an amazing moment as well. It was not a bad moment
No,
for me.
actually,
It's a good album and good singles for sure.
this album peaked at number one, and his first "Sexy Ladies," no, I'm sorry, "Sexy Back," "My Love," and "What Goes Around" were number one on the Hot 100, and he definitely knew how to choose the right singles. But all of
Yes.
a sudden, I don't know what you guys think. Justin took some time again to release his third album, which is the 2020 Experience. Um, and even though the album peaked at number one and the 2020 Experience Part 2 also peaked at number one, and his latest album, Man on the Woods, also picked at number one, those albums, his latest three albums, weren't as amazing as these two. So, what do you guys think this is? Because these two albums were amazing, spawned amazing singles, had great producers and stuff. But all of the sudden, Justin's career was like down. Even though his albums picked up at number one, they didn't have the same impact on his fans and music fans out there. Why do you think this is, Mal?
I perceive, I don't know very well the 2020 Experience album, but I perceive for that album that is the same recipe, like the same formula, in comparison to the previous one. I think it's like the same, always the same, like this some collaboration with some rappers, mixing EDM and some urban tunes. I perceive that. And in the case of In the Man of the Woods, I perceive that album very boring. I was listening to that album yesterday, I think. There is a collaboration with Alicia Keys, and I was expecting like, oh, okay, I'm not a huge fan of the Justin Timberlake voice, but I was expecting like, for example, Till the End of Times with Beyonce. I love that song, and I was expecting something like similar. But no, that album is a no for me. It's very boring
It
for
is
me.
boring.
Like I don't know. But yes, I think that's what happened with the 2020 experience for me. But I want to listen to Luquitas that maybe knows the album much better.
Okay, for me, the problem was Justin Timberlake trying to top himself and make something fresh and out of the box all the time. Uh, Especially with Men of the Woods, that is an album very different from everything he did before. Like Filth, the first single is very futuristic, and the rest of the album is very kind of folk. I don't know. There's a lot of acoustic elements, so for me it's a no. But in the other album that we have Mirrors as a single, for me was kind of more a safe choice for him as an album because there's some similar things of the previous ones, but uh, for me are songs that work so much better live. I don't know if you guys ever watched some concert of Justin, but he in this era he had like this big band and a lot of background singers like
Mm-hmm.
gospel singers with him, and everything worked for me like magic. But when you listen to that album, that energy is not there.
No.
It's like it's different, you know. So maybe that's the reason. But I feel like Justin is this kind of artist that is always trying to top it himself and make something the next level.
Mm,
And sometimes it's not that good. Maybe when we listen to those songs like in 20 years, we feel like, oh, it was actually good, but not for
yes.
the time. I don't
Yes.
know. Maybe he was ahead of the time. I don't know.
Yes, I definitely agree with you in that because sometimes when years go by and you listen to an album again, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But for now, I'm like,
Yes.
he should have chosen a different move if he wanted to remain as the following king of pop. I mean, following Michael Jackson's steps. So because we know Michael Jackson
That's
had an
yes.
amazing career and his discography is flawless, and we cannot say the same about Justin. If we actually listen to the 2020
Yeah.
experience, there are tracks that are like 8 minutes long or even 10 minutes long. And I'm like, please be over for now. So, I mean, sometimes that's really annoying because you're like,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I like this song, but I don't want to listen to it like for 10 minutes. So, in my
Yes.
opinion, this is my personal opinion. I'm not a huge fan
Yes.
of long tracks. So,
I agree with that because, for example, I love Mirror's song, but I consider it's too
yes,
long.
yes,
Repeating all over and over, la la
You,
la 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 la
you,
la la la. It's
the
like
love
okay,
of
okay,
my life.
okay.
You,
Yes, yes, yeah, like over.
yes.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
enough. Yeah, I love the
if he
song, but
would
it's
have
enough.
done a 4 minute song, it would have been great. But he decided to to
Great.
make a
Yes.
huge song out of it. Anyway,
Yes.
so well, this is all about Justin. Lucas, what's your favorite Justin song?
oh well, I was expected
I'm doing things differently.
that question. I will go to like the first thought in my mind that is like I Love You, the first single, because it's the one that I still listen to the most even now, and that I really love to play on the clubs when I'm working as a DJ. I feel like it's amazing track. So like I Love You.
And yours, Mao?
No doubt, Crimea
Okay.
River. Of course, as I said, that song was an important part of my adolescence. I remember seeing the video like crazy. I mean, actually, in that moment, I was considering Justin Timberlake one of my favorites. So yes, I remember that time very special in my life, and that moment when this actress is looking like Britney with the hat and in the stairs, I love that part. So yes, with no doubt, Cry Me a River.
Great. Yes. Actually, my favorite song is also part of his first album, which is called Nothing Else. I love that song.
Okay.
So yeah, because that album for me is perfect. So yeah, there's nothing else that I haven't seen. I love that song.
I have to check it out because I don't
Oh,
know the
you
song
will
very
love it
well.
because
So
it's R
you
and
have
B.
to check that song. Okay. I have to look for the song that I mentioned that is with Janet Jackson. So for you to
Yeah,
listen,
Yes.
I
guys.
was trying to find in the CD
Yeah,
the credits, but I couldn't. But
I
But it's
believe
not.
we will definitely
Mao
later.
is
Yes,
Mao is making things
Maybe.
up. So
yes,
Yeah,
it is.
but or maybe I am a liar, so I don't know. But yes, I know that there is a song with Janet Jackson, not like an official featuring, but
Okay,
with Janet Jackson
okay,
vocals.
a
we will
background
look for
singer.
that.
Yes,
Okay. Now, Mao, I know
yes.
you have also another boy that you want to talk about who was also part of a band and that you love so much. So tell us all about him.
Yes, thank you, Mariel. Actually, I used to love him so much. Now, maybe I'm not very into his music right now. This guy is Toby Mac. He's an icon in the Christian music industry, in the CCM world. He's an icon not only as a singer, also as a producer, as an icon, as an entertainer. So he was part of DC Talk from 1987 to 2000, and they decided to disband it. So since that moment, he decided to start working solo. He was he was very good in his career as a solo singer. Her debut album in 2001 was Momentum, was huge. He became the third CCM artist to have a number one debut on Billboard 200 chart with a on it. That was, I think, the third or the fourth album that he released. Um, I remember that time in my life that I was looking for music in the CCM world, and I he was everywhere, like in the music radio stations, in the CCM radio stations here in Bogota. Actually, they played a lot Toby Mac, and I consider that his music is very eclectic. I mean, you can find some rock songs that even is grunge, but at the same time you can find rap because he used to be a rapper sometimes in DC Talk. So I think he's very eclectic in his. You can describe his genre in music because it's big. I mean, actually, a fun fact that I want to mention: he once mentioned Justin Timberlake as one of his influence. He said that Justin Timberlake had an amazing career, and listening to, I think it was Justify, Toby Mac found inspiration to make one of his records. So it's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't expect that for a Christian singer. So actually, Toby Mac also founded Gotti Records, that is a Christian CCM label. And as I said, he's very multi-dynamic. I don't know how to describe it, but
Complete.
he's everywhere, and he's doing a lot of things that I don't know. I remember songs like Irene and Extreme Days were huge at that time. I remember watching the videos and listening the songs on the radio, and yes. So I want to know, guys, if you know this guy, if you maybe heard of this guy.
Okay, for
Lucky,
me,
just
I discovered that I used to listen to his song "City on Our Knees" quite kind of a lot in 2009. To be honest, wasn't remember about the song, but in the minute that I play it, uh, it came back to my mind. I remember that I used to like this song because it was kind of similar of a band that I really love called The Script. So the song kind of reminds me the vibe of that. But I don't listen to too much of him after this, so I had to listen now to talk with you guys a little more about my impressions. And when you said that he was diverse, he was really diverse because I can see myself saying like I'm a huge fan of him because I can define who he is as an artist. So I will always like one song, hate the other, like the other because they are completely different. So for the ones that I listen, I really like it. Speak Life, because for me, kind of reminds me the type of music that Britney Coles was doing, like Go
yes.
and those tracks. I don't know if the production is the same, but it's the same vibe. I like it. Lights Shine because there's some reggae roots on the track that I really like it. But then I heard Extreme Day, that is one of his most popular songs back then, I believe, and it was very similar to Limp Bizkit, and very
Yes.
rock and rap and rock and like heavy and different. I was like, who's this guy? Oh my god, it's very different.
Yes.
So I can describe. I don't know for Marielle how she perceives his music, but it's very confusing to
Uh,
me.
yes, you took the words out of my mouth. Confusing. That's thing because when Mao told us listen to Toby Mac's songs, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play them, and I was expecting something and ended up with a completely different perspective. You know, when I listened to Irene, I'm like, what is this? I mean, is this a Christian song? Because at the beginning I couldn't actually perceive the Christian vibe, you know. But obviously, listening to the lyrics, you were like, oh, okay, yes, it's Christian. But the vibe and like Lucas said, he's playing with a lot of genres, so he's really dynamic in that way. When you call to say, oh, I like this kind of music, but I also like this one and this one and this one, so I'm gonna mix everything together. It's a little risky, but it's also good. I didn't think his music is bad. I actually like it. I like I told you, I was coming with a specific idea of what I was going to listen to,
Idea.
and then ended up with a different one. So, yes,
Yes.
I like it, especially that song, Irene. I like that song. So, thank you for
Yes.
the introduction to Toby Mac, Mao. I don't know, how do you perceive his career from these years? Do you think he's been like stable? Do you think his work as a solo artist has been really good? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, really good. Actually, better in comparison to the career with DC Talk. DC Talk was a huge Christian rock band in the 90s, but as I told you, he's everywhere. Like, not only as a singer, also as an icon in the Christian music industry. So yes, I think that yes, as you told Mariel, he was very risky mixing all these genres in music to create something new and different. But at the same time, I think he did it in the right way. So, because it's very original when you listen to a Toby Mac song, it's like you describe it like, okay, I was thinking about it, but at the end, it's not what I was expecting. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it
I
makes
think that
sense.
I thank you guys to
Girl.
give the opportunity to listen to Toby Mac
Uh-huh.
because it's amazing to have your thoughts and your opinions on this guy.
Yes,
Yes, I
definitely.
feel like for those who are continuing following him from since the beginning, must be easier to understand those moves because we grow up watching like Madonna experimenting different things,
Yes.
but for us trying now one song from one album from another is kind of messy
Mm-hmm.
in our heads.
Yes, yes.
But looks like it works because he's huge on the CCM world.
He's
Yes.
huge. He's
Yes.
huge.
So,
Yes, yes. And a huge reference.
yes, definitely. So, thank you for the introduction to someone new, Mimao, because I only knew about him because of his name, but never actually heard anything by him
Yes.
until you recommended. So, yeah. Now, Lucas, I know that you have now to talk about someone that I know you love, that you adore, and that I actually adore too. And she was part of a massive girl group in the UK. And we are not talking about the Spice Girls, you guys. So I'm letting everything
Not this
for
time.
Lucas.
Okay, guys, so finally it's time for me to talk about Cheryl from Girls Aloud. It's a girl that I wanted to mention since the first episode. I always try to bring her name in the conversation because I really, really do admire her. So I feel like I start to admire her even more after I read this book, Cheryl, My Story, because she's very honest in this book, and you can feel like you really knows her. Like she talks everything from the past. She had difficult background with her family, with the parents, with the brother. She lost a lot of friends to drugs when she was really young because she used to live in this neighborhood that wasn't uh, very good. So she had to fight a lot to become an artist. So I admire her, and Most people can think that she's only a product that came from a reality show and a girl group, but she's not. She's a real artist. That's why I really love her, and I believe that's why she became the queen of UK in some point in his solo career. They started in 2009 when she was part of the track Heartbreak with will.i.am.
Heartbreaker.
Uh, Heartbreaker, thank you. I was about to say Heartbeat. Heartbeat is for Nicole, I guess.
It's
Uh,
really cool, yes.
yes. So Heartbreaker, and she was supposed to be only in the video dancing because she's an amazing dancer, but will.i.am decided to ask her to make part of the remix. And after this, she decided to work in her solo album with will.i.am and other producers. And at that moment, she was a judge on the X Factor UK. So she was always on television, and she started to become this celebrity and this person that media is really focusing on her personal life and the clothes she's wearing and things like this. It was bad in some sense because the UK media is very uh, it's very difficult in this area. They are very harsh with the artists sometimes, but it was very good for the exposure. So she could release her first official solo single, "Fight for This Love," on X Factor. That is this one, this single here, and the single was straight number one on UK and other countries. She was number one or top 10 on most of the Europe. And this track is amazing. There is a sample of a 90s R&B track, "All My Life" by Casey and Jojo, that Mal, of course, loves. I Do. It's a beautiful
Of
song.
course. Yes.
And she breaks a lot of records, actually. Her album, uh, this one, Three Words, did very good on the charts. Marielle, please show. I have the luck to have the signed
Yes,
version
we're so
here
lucky.
of Cherry that I really love. It's a treasure for me. And
Of course.
she released a lot of music surrounded by her name in the media and divorce, and she almost died from malaria at some point. But as I said, she's a real artist. So when you listen to the first single of the second album, Promise This, you can definitely feel this uh, almost deadly experience that she had, because this track is very obscure, but at the same moment very pop.
Yes.
So she said in the song, uh, "If I die before I wake, be the last to kiss my lips," and it's a very powerful lyrics. And she became huge, and at the same point, at some point, yes, this is the second album. She was the artist with most female artist with the most number ones on UK because she had five. This record was broken by Jazz Klein. Uh, that I'm not agreeing that much because most of her songs she was part of the song, like Clean Bandit featuring Jazz
Yes.
Klein was
Or like a
not
featured artist.
solo songs. Yes,
But
but
anyway.
okay, she had the record now. I want to know, guys, what do you guys think about Cheryl's solo career? I will mention later why I love so much the album Only Human, but I want to know first about you guys. How you guys uh, perceive her solo career, please, Marielle?
Well, I definitely agree with you, Lucas. I think that Cheryl is an amazing artist. She's a complete performer. She knows how to sing, how to songwrite, how to dance. So she's very complete when it comes to being an artist. And I have a very interesting memory with Cheryl when in 2012 I wasn't feeling so good. I went to a lot of changes emotionally, and so I was diagnosed with depression that time. And when I was diagnosed, I remember that her song "Call My Name" was out. So I remember I'm like, oh, this is such a happy and fun song because it had like a lot of good vibes and stuff. And a few months later, her album "A Million Lights" came out, and so it came out when I was diagnosed. So I kind of attached a lot to this album back in the day. So she was there for me when that happened. So it's an interesting story with her, because I know that every time I'm like, yes, I have depression, and I always go back to that time, and I'm like, yeah, but this album
Oh,
saved me. So thank you, Cheryl.
yes, that's
And
good.
and I think that she has chosen very good singles. Not all of them. Especially I'm not a fan of The Flood, and I don't know why she would choose that song out of many good songs from that album.
Oh, I do like. I
I
have.
find it a little boring, to be honest. But anyway, um,
Yeah, people agree with you because he was only 19 on the charts after a lot of top fives and
see,
number one. I do love, but I
see.
understand.
So yeah,
Yes.
and her latest album, Only Human, that you will mention in a moment, Lucas. This album also has a great tracks. She has chosen very good first singles for each one of her albums. So from Fight for This Love to Promise This to Call My Name and to Crazy Stupid Love, I think that she has chosen very good singles to begin a new chapter in her life. So definitely Cheryl is a
Yes.
complete artist, someone that I recommend for everyone to hear. And we cannot wait for her to release more music. I don't know what is going on, but we definitely miss her. So now it's
This Cheryl.
Mao, what do you think of her? Because I know that you weren't so familiar with Cheryl's music.
Yes, yes. Actually, I'm not familiarized with any of her music. I think I remember when "Fight for This Love" was released, and I really like it. Not a huge fan, of course, but I really like the song, and I perceive Cheryl as a class act because all the time she could be sexy. I think in a lot of her videos, but with classy, very classy, very good dancer. I think, and always very polished. So yes, maybe this is my perception of her. A very good pop pop act in the music industry, and she is a proof that not all the time is about a huge voice, like for example Christina Aguilera, or like maybe showing some skin. Is I don't consider it's bad for some ladies and even guys to show a little of a skin, and it's okay to be sexy. It's okay to be like sometimes in this way, but I perceive that Cheryl do it in a classy way, and it's great. It's amazing. I have to listen to more of Cheryl's music because I don't know, of course, her catalog. I was, of course, listening to the episode her music, and I consider it's very good pop. I don't feel connected, of course, with her music a lot, because of course you know my taste, and I connect more into the soulful vibe, but I consider it's very good pop song. So yes, and thank you, Mariel, for sharing this with us, like the diagnosis that you have.
Yes.
This is a proof that how the music
Tough.
impact in our lives, and I think this is like the point of connection between us.
No,
So
you're
thank you,
no.
Marie.
I'm happy to
Yes.
share this
Thank you.
with everybody, because I think whoever suffers from depression should speak out. Don't let your thoughts for
Yes.
yourself.
Because you guys are not
Yes.
alone. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
And
totally.
actually, this is one of the reasons why I love Cheryl to the most, because when she released it on Only Human, I was already a fan. But I feel like nowadays it's so hard for us to really connect it with some music. It's really easy to listen and think, oh, it's a great song. I can listen to this a lot, but really connect it and feel something more deep is very rare. So when she released the album Only Human, I was very impressed because I'm a person that always talk about fully living. Like I believe in experiences and that you have to live your life to the most. I'm not a huge fan of rules and the models of society for us and things like this. So the album starts with an intro that is this guy talking about you should care more about what you love than money. So if money wasn't a subject, what you'd be doing right now? and is something that really touched me. And the next song, that is "Live Life Now," is basically an electro song with Cheryl speaking. She's not even singing a lot in this track, but she's singing, "Let's dance on the table, let's live right now, let's do what we want." That's what I believe. And when I heard "Only Human," that she sings about one thing that I'm always think, that we are just like a small piece of a whole universe, and we don't need to make everything about ourselves. We just have to enjoy our journey. It really touched me at the point that I have this tattoo on my back, writing "Only Human." Basically, is like the CD,
The same
very
font?
simple. Uh, yes, very simple,
Uh,
is on my back. I'm planning to do something with this print of the animal, close it there, but I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. But it's very part of my life, and when artists can touches our lives like this, you know that it's
yes.
a real artist. I really hope she releases more music, but I gotta say that after reading her book, I can feel happy for her to have a quiet life a little, and enjoy her boy, her son, and just life, because we could see her as Britney easily, like having struggling with a lot of things. So I think it's a good thing that she takes some time to take care of herself too.
Yes.
But hopefully we can have more music soon.
Yes, let's hope. Let's hope. Because she's a very nice
Yes,
artist.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And it's amazing when we find this point of connection, guys. But for example, in the case of Cheryl, you two are crazy about Cheryl. So it's amazing for me because we always find this point of connection. For example, I don't know, Mariel and I are crazy about Rachel Lampa. Lucas and I are crazy about Christina Milian. Or I don't know. There is a
Yes.
point of connection that all three are united, and sometimes two of us are connected. So this time is Cheryl, and
Yes.
it's amazing.
Yes, it's
That's the great
amazing.
thing about music. Now,
Yes.
following, I also will talk about someone from that came from first from a girl band. For those of you who don't know, Miss Stacy Ferguson, also known as Fergie, first began her career in Wild Orchid, a group from the late 90s, early 2000s. She recorded 3 albums with them. She later decided to leave because she was invited by will.i.am to be part of the Black Eyed Peas, and with whom she recorded 2 albums before releasing her first solo album, which I don't have, and I know you guys don't have it either. But we all know that the Duchess was a huge hit back in the day. That album broke records, sold millions of copies, spawned a lot of number 1 songs like London Bridge and Glamorous and Big Girls Don't Cry, Clumsy
Clumsy,
and Fergalicious that went number 2. So, I mean, she was at the top
Fergalicious, yes.
back in the day. Fergie was like everybody
Yes.
wanted to be Fergie. We love her. She had a very distinctive sound from what was going on back in the day. So I think that was what made her special, because she was playing a lot with hip hop and R&B and pop and even rapping sometimes. So she was very
Yes.
multifaceted, as we can say. She did very well in the beginning of her career, but all of a sudden she decided to. Well, she went back with the Black Eyed Peas, released 2 more albums with them that were very successful, and then it took her over 10 years to release a new album, a new solo album. So I think that kind of didn't help her much, because when she recorded the Duchess, she should have recorded more songs, or for another album, for 2 more albums actually. But she waited a long time, and her comeback as a solo singer wasn't as successful as what she did in 2006. We all know she recorded the Duchess 2. It is, yeah, it's the Duchess 2. and did have some moderate success, but none of
I think it's that double
Double Duchess.
Duchess,
Double
something
Duchess.
like
I'm
this.
sorry. Yes, I'm
The double
sorry.
Duchess, yes.
I knew it was something about Duchess, but I didn't know if it was two or double. Anyway, um, she was releasing songs, but none of those as popular as the ones she released in 2006. None of them actually made it to the top 10. She had moderate success in the UK. And if you listen to her songs from the Double Duchess, like Melf and the other one, I really don't recall because they are not so good for me, to be honest. I cannot actually say, oh yes, I remember that song. I'm like, oh yeah, I listened to it, but I can actually remember. So I'm gonna ask you now, Lucas, what do you think about Fergie's career? Because we know she's always been like known, and also known for having a great voice. But why do you think that her solo career hasn't been as good, even though she had everything to be the new queen, and all of a sudden she was like,
Okay. Well, the first album, as we said, is perfect. I have so many memories with those tracks. Like, I remember when my friends came over to my house, I had to bring things for more people to sleep at my house and my aunt's house that was in the same street. And I remember me and my friends carrying everything and dancing London Bridge. I don't know why we did that, but we are always singing that song and dancing into my house. And I have so many memories with Big Girls Don't Cry that was huge here in Brazil. I don't know if you guys know, but it was released first in Brazil, the song, because it was like
Oh,
the team song of a couple in Big Brother
oh,
here in Brazil. So every time they kiss it, they play it, the song. So it started to be on the radio before being a single here. At the point that was a single, they had to release the remix with Sean Kingston here because it was already popular for a while. But answering Marielle, for me, I think the problem with the second album was, to be honest, money, because they tried to find the perfect first single, and everything they released it was flopping, flopping, and flopping, and the label was not uh, very excited anymore for the album. And I know that Fergie had to put a lot of her money in this production, and the music videos were all paid by her to happen. So I feel like when you don't have amazing support of the label and for the people who has money is something that you can perceive in the final results sometimes, especially if you already work it with the best in the market. It became like very notable when you listen. And we don't have strongest songs like, as Marielle said, we can mention one track that is still on our playlists until now, differently from the first album that we still listen to a lot of songs. So maybe money, support, and definitely the time she took to release it was the
yes,
problem.
definitely. And what about you, Ma? What are your thoughts on Fergie's career?
yes. Yes, well, I think this is one of the first time that all the singles for an artist were huge in our countries because here in Colombia, London Bridge, Clumsy, Fergalicious were huge hits in the radio and in the channels. So I think it was bad decisions too because it was not good for her to become a joke when she performed the national anthem. This is one of the moments that was like a flop. She looked ridiculous singing like that, like in that jazzy style. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but I think it was a bad decision to do it. So another bad decision was to wait too long to release another record because in that moment when she was with Black Eyed Peas, they were releasing a lot of huge hits, hot hits, and suddenly she was working as a solo singer, and it was great because it was like a connection. For example, in the case of Fugees and Lauryn Hill, they were big, and suddenly Lauryn Hill was singing as a solo singer, and it was great because it was in the same moment. as in the same case of Fergie, because it was in the same decade. Like she was like, oh my God, this is the new queen. Along Gwen Stefani and Nelly Furtado, they were like ruling the charts. But she decided to wait a lot of time to release another record. And actually, I have to say that there is a song that I love that is Till to Morning, Till to Morning or something like that, that I really like. And I was thinking at that time that this is like the revival of this woman, because I think she's talented, but it was not like that, and I didn't like the direction of that album. For example, the first single that was with a lot of
Milk.
celebrities in the video,
LA Love. There's
MILF or
MILF and
something like
there's
that.
LA
Yes,
Love.
MILF.
Both were first
Yes,
singles without being the first.
yes, yes. I think it was not a good single, like in this kind of stuff that I don't like so much. So yeah, and according was what Lucky just said, I heard and I read that she has right now a lot of debts because of that with the banks or something like that. So it's very sad that a singer that was huge in the past has to request a loan or something like that
Crazy.
to release a video. It's crazy because yes, so it's very sad. And she was a diva, a huge diva in the late 2000s. So yes, I think it was bad
Yes,
decisions for
definitely.
her.
Yeah, I know that sometimes you think celebrities have it all, but you don't know what's beneath. So, yeah.
Yes,
So,
Yes.
well, anyway,
yes,
now moving on, Mao, I know you also have a girl to talk about today. So, who she is?
yes. Yes, this is a girl that I think you like. Her name is Tinashe. I like so much this girl. No, a lot of people know that she was part of a girl band called the Stoners, but that was founded by
Mm-hmm,
Vitamin
mm-hmm.
C actually. They were not so great in the like in a group, like as a group. So, but they were part of RCA Records, that is a great label. And with this group, they were not so great, so she decided to went into a solo career. So, with the hand of Schoolboy Q, she started releasing a lot of tracks. With the first single was "Too On," that I think you like. So I think it was a good movement from Tinashe to make this, because actually this is the case when a singer became more known as a solo singer in comparison to the career when she was a part of a band, because the Stooners is not very well known, or they were not so famous. So I want to know, guys, what is your perception about Tinashe? I really enjoyed her music in general. So I love her so much. I think she was like a good, I don't know how to describe it, like a good option, good new singer in the time that she was releasing her career as a solo singer, because she was mixing this dance with this new vibe of R&B, like in the vibe of Ciara or Janet Jackson. You can perceive that from Tinashe, and she was working with great producers like Skillboy Q. So I think it was a very good movement, and I think actually I want to know about your opinion in these guys, because I think her career was huge in a moment, and then it started like falling down. I don't know what happened with her, because she got all the elements to become a huge icon, not only in the R&B music but in the pop world. I want to know what your opinions,
Um,
Mariel.
uh, it's kind of hard because I kind of disagree a little with you, Mao. I think that she hasn't found
Okay,
her her genre. I think that she's a little lost out there,
okay,
and that's why I think that she hasn't
okay,
exploded as many of us would like, because she hasn't found like the right path. No, she wants to do this, she wants to do this, and she wants to do this.
Okay.
So she hasn't been like, okay, I want to do this, and this is what I'm focusing on. So I think that's why she hasn't been as
Okay.
huge as expected. I mean, the Stunners weren't a huge group like you mentioned. They were like rarely known. Not everybody
No.
knows about them. I was crazy about the song Bubblegum. Taste it, buy it, chew it, pop it,
Bubblegum.
lick it,
Yes.
smack it, chew it, pop it. Yeah, I love it. I love that song. But her in particular, I just know a couple of her songs, but none of them has actually been like, wow, like wow, this girl has this. She really needs to find her way, because she's talented. She definitely can
Okay.
sing. She can dance, and she's very different, because I know
Dance.
she's
Yes.
mixed. I know her father is from Denmark, or her mother is from Denmark, and and she has black
And the other
Nigerian.
is
So
black.
she's a
Yes.
very weird combination,
Yes.
because and she's exotic. So
Yes.
yes, she's
Exotic
beautiful.
combination. Yes.
She did have a little bit out there when she recorded Slumber Party with Britney Spears, but out of that, I don't
Yes.
see her doing other important things. I think that she definitely needs to find her way.
Okay.
But, well, this is just my opinion. What about you, Luquitas?
Oh, I kind of agree with Marielle. To be honest, there's nothing in her catalog that I'm crazy about or that I listen. I always try because I feel like she have all the elements that would make me like her. Like she dances, she sings. Her songs are not bad, but never I never felt connected with her, and it's very funny because Mal was saying that we can like it, the same things and have different levels of connection and things like this. And actually, she was part of this festival that I saw this year in March that had JoJo and a lot of amazing singers here in Brazil. And she was the headliner
Hmm?
for the day two.
Yes.
And I watched her concert. I thought it was very nice, but I wasn't that impressed. And to be honest, it started to rain a lot. And my friend that was with me was like, "I cannot miss this. She's amazing. She's a goddess. I will be in the rain and I will watch." And he was crazy about her and the songs. And was like, "Okay, I'm not going to stay in the rain. I watch it a little. It's amazing. She's amazing, but I don't want to be in the rain." So I feel like I don't have this connection with her, and I can find out exactly why. It's
Okay.
weird.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys for your honest perception. Yes, yes, yes. It's amazing to have this kind of discussions because we can appreciate the others' opinions.
Yes.
I remember when she came out in the music industry. I was, of course, in this R&B mood all the time, of course. So I perceive her like a new goddess in the R&B, in the R&B scene, like in the R&B world. Like, oh my God, this is maybe the new Janet Jackson or something like that.
Yes.
But it's true what you said. Maybe a lot of elements going on, but at the same time, not in the right direction, not in the right place.
Yeah,
So
it's a shame,
yes,
because I know she's talented, but I think she
Yes.
needs to find her way, or maybe a very
yes,
good producer to do something different with her. Someone like
yes,
Timbaland or the
yes, yes,
Neptunes,
yes,
or I
yes.
don't know, someone with a yes,
Or
yes.
Dark Child, someone like
Anyway,
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
moving on, Lucas, I know that you will talk about a pop singer from a pop group, obviously, that we all love here.
Yes.
So
I,
tell us all about
I will talk about the real
it. Yes.
Barbie. No, I'm kidding, but she looked like. I will talk about Mary Sternholt of 18s. We're talking about the 18s in our mixed groups episode, and Mary was part of this group, of course. And way they disbanded in 2004, there was a lot of rumors that she would be the first to release music. Actually, was Danny. He released
Okay.
it first, the single "Girl Talk" in 2004, and her music only came in 2006. She wanted to record this so bad, and she wanted to make this with one specific producer that I have the name here. Wait, because it's a difficult name. I don't know if I even know how to pronounce. Is when I read with my English Portuguese is Georgian Elefosson, but he's
I think
Swedish,
it's
so
It's
I don't know if it's right.
Georgian,
So
Georgian, or something like that.
Georgian Elefosson, it's the redemption all over again. Oh my god.
Yes,
It's
yes,
difficult.
yes.
Anyway, she wanted to work with this guy that has an amazing catalog in music. He worked with Celine Dion, with Kelly Clarkson. A lot of Westlife songs were produced by him, and he said, "Sorry, now I'm really busy. I'm working with different young artists." That actually was Daring
Mm-hmm.
and Agnes that he was working at the time. So he said no, but she was like persistent with this guy, and she made a call again in the end of 2005, and he said, "You know what? Now I have these two new producers that I'm kind of training to be amazing producers working with me. Maybe we can do something together." And they created this album here that is Enjoy the Ride, uh, that was released in 2006. At first, it was released focusing on Sweden, that is her country. And the first single was That's the Way My Heart Goes. That is a
Love
very
it.
pop. There's no other explanation for the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's pop, pure pop, kind of cheesy, uh, but very pop. And the music video is Barbie. That's why I mentioned that. She's like in this pink places and clothes. And when the single was released for the rest of Europe, actually they cut it a lot of those scenes of the unicorn and things like that, because it was maybe too much for the image they wanted for her in the other countries. But to be fair, she only happened um, in this level in her country. Like she was very good in the charts with the single, but the other singles were kind of being
Mm-hmm.
less
Mm-hmm.
successful in the charts. There was I Need a House and Oxygen, and she was planning to release this album on the US and other countries, but it was canceled. And the only music she did later was to be part of that festival, Melody
Melody Festivalen.
Festival. Is this name? Melody Festival, thank you. That is the place where they chose the song
Mm-hmm.
to be part of Eurovision. So she never got this. She was like always cut it before the finals, but she released those songs here, that is Disconnect Me
Oh, salt and
and
pepper.
Salt and Pepper. Uh, yes, for this, but one of them entered the charts, but very low positions. The other one not enter in the charts. And now she's like this person of TV. She was part of the Swedish X Factor as judge, and she's hosting a lot of TV shows in Sweden, even
Mm-hmm.
cooking shows. She's like a TV personality. Now there's no music, but I want to know your opinion, Marielle, and then Mouse, about this album or her songs or her career. I gotta say, my favorite in this is
Mm-hmm.
Calling All Detectives. I wish you could be a single, but it wasn't. So, uh,
Yeah,
please, Maria,
well,
what it?
Marie is definitely one of those examples of artists that haven't been well exploited, because she had everything to become worldwide famous, but they just chose to leave her only for Sweden. And it's a shame because, I mean, I know Sweden is it's a huge pop country. We have a lot of artists from Sweden,
Yes.
but
Yes.
she definitely needed to be more recognized worldwide. A lot of people actually has written to me when I have featured her on my Mariel Talks Pop, and saying she had solo songs, and I'm like, yeah, you didn't know. So a lot of people don't even know that she went solo. It's sad because, like you mentioned, she
Oh,
was pure pop. So yeah, definitely the best, the first single. I'm sorry, that's the way my heart goes. Was an amazing choice for a lead single, but the other two, I'm like, who thought of those songs as singles? I definitely find a little bit more potential on Wasted Love and Can't Be Loved and Calling All Detectives, like you just mentioned. Those songs had more
yes.
potential, and even Enjoy the Ride were more powerful. Could have been more, um, yeah, yeah, powerful to the audience, because I Need a House, I found it like a little boring. Like, oh yeah, I need a house. It's actually a very silly song, if you ask me. And the other one, Oxygen, is like, I'm
Yes.
sleeping. Why would they choose the
This
most
one,
boring song
yeah,
on
it's
the
boring.
album to be a single? Who takes those choices? Who makes those decisions? So I think
Yes.
she needed more, a huge uh, propaganda, more publicity, more, to make her more famous, and not only stay in Sweden. So that's my
Yes.
perception, because she's beautiful. She doesn't have like the best voice, but she definitely has her own, how you say it. She's unique. She's unique. So that's my thought. And what
Okay.
about you, Mau?
Well, I'm going to give my personal opinion about this woman because, and I think it's a superficial opinion because I don't know very well her catalog, and I think it's unfair to maybe to judge a singer because of one song. I perceive her. Uh, at first, her name is difficult, so I don't think it's commercial in the first place. In the second, I this is the part of pop music that I don't really enjoy at all. So this is the kind of pop that I don't like so much. This very pop sound that I don't know. So I don't enjoy her music so much. In the other hand, I think it was the same formula of the Britney Spears formula, replicated a lot of times with different ingredients. So no, I think this girl is a no for me. But as I told you, it's like my opinion. I don't know very well her catalog. I have to explore more on this girl. But yes, I think that I start saying, but her name is difficult. Actually, I was again today. I was like, okay, I was listening to this girl yesterday, and today I was looking for her music. And I was, how is his name? It's
And
very
what
difficult
is the
for me.
song
So
that you heard? I'm curious about.
that song that you mentioned,
That's the
the
way my heart
first,
goes.
that's the way my heart goes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, and
So
I
if
perceive
you
the
don't
song
like this
Yes.
one,
very
you will not like
Agree. Agree.
any other.
okay, because I perceive that song very pop and the kind of pop that
It,
I don't enjoy,
it is
guys.
really
So
funny that you
yes,
mentioned
but
that, Mao, because one time I remember I was watching the video, because I used to download all the videos and play them on my DVD. And
Yeah.
my mom came by and she was like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is Mary Serena Holt from the 18s." And she stayed there with me. And she's like, "Nope, I can't. This is too pop for me." She said the same.
yes, 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 yes. I perceive the same. I perceive the same. I There are songs that I love and are pop anthems, like for example, "Baby One More Time" or songs like that that are very pop, but with a little of combination of anything else. But in this case, it's like the pop that I don't really enjoy so much. So
I
yeah,
know
but
what
I
it
have
is.
to
It's
explore more.
because it's that pop that is very pop, but there's also a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Europe on that I mentioned
Yes,
here before.
yes.
That sometimes is weird for us that lives in our countries because we grow up with a very American pop music culture, and the Europe
Yes.
is a
It's
little
more
bit different.
cheesy.
Yes.
So that's it. Yes, and sometimes I think that I maybe liked this album or the song just because it's her and she was part of 18s. Maybe if the song was released with another new singer, I wouldn't be that Crazy or Addicted to That's the Way My Heart Goes, or any other track. Actually, I Need a
Same
House
diff.
was covered by that duo from X Factor. Same difference. Yes. So they took that,
Yes.
a very European cheesy pop song, and re-recorded it. So
Yeah.
And it's funny because for us, I think it works the same sometimes. Because, for example, with Mariel, when I suggest Mariel to listen to the Mixed Education of Lauryn Hill, she was like, "They say that it's a great album, but I don't feel attached to the album." In the case of Luquitas, we were talking about Coco Jones and her new music, and he was like, "Okay, I see you. It's a song that I don't enjoy so much because it's very R&B soul for me. So I think it's the same for me."
oh yeah,
Uh,
totally.
there are pop that I really enjoy with you, like I feel connected as you guys, but there is some pop songs that I don't enjoy the much, as you
Yes.
don't enjoy the much some
It's
R&B
valid.
songs. So I
Obviously
think it's
valid.
the same.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes, totally, totally, totally. And I like it happens because it shows a
Yes.
lot of
So well,
diversity
anyway.
here.
And now someone that is
Diversification is here,
kind of
yes.
similar to Mary, but a little more pop rocky, and it's the one that I'm talking about now. It's Miss Angel Faith. Um, I yes,
Oh,
it's the
you have
Japanese
that album?
version.
Wow.
It's
You
the
too.
same.
Yes, it's the same
I
version.
adore this
It's the
woman.
same.
Okay, okay.
I cannot say why specifically because when she was in No Secrets, she was between her and Jessica. They were the main lead singers, and just when they were about to release their second album, and Angel already recorded the songs for that second album, she was gone. And so she said, "I want to go solo." She was offered a contract with, I think it's Midas Records, and she recorded this album, Believe in Angels, Believe in Me, and her first single, Just the Way I Am, was well received, but unfortunately didn't enter the charts as well as the album, which is a shame because this album in particular
Yes.
has a lot of bops. um, it could have been managed differently. I think that she performed like crazy all over the US, but she didn't have the I don't know, like the right audience, like probably like Britney or like Christina. She was like, she's new. I know she was part of No Secrets, but No Secrets weren't as popular as other girl groups, so people didn't know what to do with Angel. So I think people missed out on her because she had a lot of potential. She has a great song, a great voice. She's pretty. She's not the typical girl because she wasn't so slim. She was a little bit more chubby, but it's okay. I mean, you don't have to be always this skinny. So she
Yes.
yes,
And Hilary Duff was too at the same
exactly.
time.
So
So
she has a very different beauty, but she people slept on her, and unfortunately, when she released the second single, "How Can I Lie," that song wasn't included on the U.S. version. That was only happening in the Japanese version. So, I think that sometimes is not helping because you already released an album. Well, choose songs from that album to be part of your new singles, but she decided to, I don't know if it was her or it was her management that they decided to release How Can I Lie because that song wasn't on this album. So, and you're like, then how can I find it? How can I have it? I think that she should have chosen, or her management should have chosen other songs like probably Chinese Whispers or Mama's Little Girl that are very catchy songs. They should have remained with songs from that album and then re-release this one as a special edition, but not only in Japan. I think that's what didn't help. And then she just got tired of not having the success she deserved, and she decided to go to college. And now she has even a doctoral um, education. She's very
Okay.
educated right now in psychology. So I think people slept on her. What are your thoughts on Miss Angel, Lucas?
For me, the image was a problem because I remember when I heard "The Way I Am," the single, the first time I was with this pop rock image in my mind because there's some guitar and it's a very pop rock track. And when I watched the music video, she was like very looking like the popular girl in the high school, you know, very simple, but at the same time, I don't know, there was no personality in her. Actually, the music video is bringing this so much because there's a lot of different characters dancing the song. Like this song is for everyone. If you are a rocker, if you are a girl cheerleader, you can enjoy Angel. But maybe for me that was the problem because the songs don't talk too much with each other. To be honest, I don't think it's the best production of the album when you compare to the other singers back then. It could be very well produced, but for me was not that much. And the single that was released in Japan that Marielle mentioned is kind of dance. I don't know the music video. There's a lot of
It's a prom
lights. I
night.
think it's
Mm-hmm.
prom. The theme of the music videos is a prom night. So for me, she's very girl next door. I don't know. It's very confusing. I think she needed a stronger image to make impact, especially in a moment when you have Hilary Duff, Lindsay Lohan, all those girls, and all those girls going more pop rock oriented. She could use that a little bit more. I don't know, but I really like her, and I think there's something fascinating about someone coming from a girl group or a boy band and making solo music. I can explain. Is nice to see, and all the pop going on here is kind of appealing to
Yeah,
me, but could be
definitely. She
better.
deserved better and maybe a different production. What about you, Mal? I know I recommended Angel to you sometime.
This yes. Actually, this
Yes.
album is from 2004, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think this is the perfect example of a lack of good production, of a lack of a lot of things, like not good production, no good label, not good producers. I think, as you said, Mariel, there are a lot of good songs, and I appreciate of this album that she was doing bubblegum pop. That was not the trend at that time. She was mixing, of course, with pop rock, but at the same time, she was doing a lot of bubblegum stuff. So I think it's great because she had the look for doing that. But at the same time, I think it was not a strong label. It was I don't know the producers, but they were not good producers for her. So I think she got everything to become a star and maybe to compete with the people that Lucas mentioned, like Hilary Duff and stuff, and people like that, Lindsay Lohan. But yes, people slept on her, and producers slept on her, and the music industry slept on her because she got the potential to become maybe more known. And I remember when you suggest me her music, Mariel, I I enjoyed some songs, but I perceived that from the album that as you said, there are a lot of good bangers, maybe, but with no good production. Maybe this
I
is
think
what
that usually
happened
happens when you
with this
don't
girl.
work with a huge record label. So yes, it's a shame.
Yes,
And
yes,
the
yes,
part
and
that
it's
she
a
was
shame.
blonde and everybody
It's a
was
shame.
blonde back in the day. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Yes, yes. You can find any distinctive from her, so yes. But at the same time, I enjoy so much, for example, that song,
just
um,
just
the,
the
the
way
the
I am.
single,
Mm-hmm.
"That's the Way I Am."
Yes.
That's the way I am. Yes, I enjoy it so much when I was listening, but at the same time, it's okay. It sounds like a lot of songs
Mm-hmm.
from that
Yeah,
era
definitely.
of music.
People
So
slept on
yes,
her. But well, we have this album, and it's a good album anyway.
yes,
So We will definitely add some of her songs to our
Yes.
playlist. And finally, Mao, I know that you will have another boy that you want to talk about.
Yes, I'm going to mention a crooner, a soulful guy. And I'm going to talk about Dave Hollister. He was part of Blackstreet. Is this one? I think this one. Yes, he was part of Blackstreet. I think this guy is for and this is one of my questions for you guys. I think this kind of singers, like a soul singers, are for the R&B and soul audience. Like for this kind of guys, it's very difficult to get into pop charts or more mainstream charts because they live as they are in the soul and R&B and hip hop and not so big, so great. So he was part of this group that was very famous in the 90s because of the song No Jiggity,
Yeah.
and he decided to make his career as a solo singer in the 90s decade, actually in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, with an album that is called Chicago '85, the movie. Actually, he participated in some Tupac songs, doing some background vocals. But of course, he was not great, not into the R&B scene, not into the, of course, into the mainstream scene. I think his music is not, his music was not part of the Billboard Hot 100 in any time. So this is the perfect example of a singer, a soul singer that is just like that, a soul singer and no more. So my question for you guys is, what do you think of this guy? If you have the opportunity to listen to some of the songs, and in the other hand, why you consider that is so difficult for these soul singers to become more known? For example, Usher is a huge star. He's an R&B singer, but in the case of, for example, Joe or Brian McKnight or Dave Hollister or other singers, it's not possible to do it in this way.
Um,
Lucky, yes.
okay. Well, for me, I agree with you. I heard some songs from his debut album that you mentioned, his 2000 album. I was expecting something more Usher, to be honest. And actually, it's funny because I'm discovering more about myself with this episode because I was trying to understand why I wasn't enjoying that, and it is because it's pure soul and R&B. There's no there's any pop influence on that,
Yeah.
and I think the productions with pop influences, and for me personally, when it's a woman sing, helps me a little bit to like more and to be more mainstream. So when you mentioned Brian McKnight, when he did songs more radio friendly, like Back at One, uh, it was huge, and he made this crossover to the radios and the mainstream audience. So I think it is not a problem. It's only something specifically for some audience that is not everyone. So that happens, and unfortunately, his music I felt like it's not for me. He has a beautiful, deep voice, but when it comes to R&B, I need some pop influence in there to make me feel more comfortable in my ears. I think so.
I listened to the songs
What
that
about
you
you, Mario?
recommended. One Woman Men, and the other one I don't recall the name. Yeah,
Yes,
that one.
my favorite girl.
I couldn't see something distinctive. It was like, oh yeah, I have heard this type of song
Okay.
many times. Not saying that song specifically, but it has something like, oh yeah, this is a type of R&B song I have heard before, but nothing stands out for me.
Okay.
And maybe, like Lucas said, I need to be a little bit more pop influenced, like Usher. Like you mentioned, Usher has always played with different genres, and so that's why he has been so popular in
Yes.
in different with different people, you know, not only, you know, black people. I mean, he has also fans in, I don't know, like Sweden, for example, or different types of
Yes.
ethnicities. So, and like Lucas mentioned, he's just like an R&B singer, but I couldn't sense something that could stand out. He has definitely a good voice, and he's also not very good looking, so I think that sometimes doesn't help, because yeah, you have to be honest. I mean, you have
Yes.
to, if
Yes.
we are honest. I mean,
Yes.
if you don't have like the body or
Yes. It's
something
true.
that really says, oh, he's good looking, you're not gonna stand out a lot. Unfortunately, that's how it works. And in the music, yes, definitely, we
In the
have
music
talked about
industry,
this
no doubt.
many
Yes, you're
times. I
totally
mean,
right.
we have
Yes.
said, oh, this person has like a huge voice, a huge talent, but probably because of his or her looks, didn't do so well. So I think this is part of what didn't caught my eye. It was like, okay, yeah, he's a good singer, but I don't see nothing standing out from him, and he's not even good looking. So I don't I can't see something that impresses me from him.
Okay, okay, okay. It's very interesting to that in this episode, I think we discover that, for example, in my case, that is when it's very pop, like in the case of the girl of 18s.
Marie.
What is his name? What is her name? Okay,
Mary's in her hopes.
Marie. In the case of Marie, it's very difficult for me to to get into the music. In your case, it's very difficult when it was pure R&B or soul. So it's
Yes.
very interesting what happened today, but because I think we are discovering a lot of
Yes.
things inside of us in every episode. So
Yes,
it's
about
great.
ourselves. Actually, I learned this about
Yeah,
me
same.
listening to this guy. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes,
well,
yes,
anyway,
yes.
it's good to know like different perspectives, and I know that you are a huge R&B fan, Mao. So I want to ask you, do you really find him like
Yes.
a very good product, just to call him that, a good music product, or do you think he's missing something? What are your thoughts?
I actually this is the kind of male singer that I enjoy the most. Like I find very likable for me. I don't know how to describe it, but this is the kind of soul or R&B singer that I think it's, oh my god, I love this man. In the case of, for example, Brian McKnight or Joe, this is the kind of guys that I admire and I consider that they are my favorites. I consider Dave Hollister is a good product if we call him that uh, for an R&B audience,
Yes.
because yes, and no more. For example, if you play his music for another audience, like you guys, for example, that you like, of course, other kind of music like R&B, but main pop, it's
Yeah.
very difficult to get into his music. So I think it's a very good product in the R&B audience, but not for a mainstream audience, I think.
Yes.
But yes, as you said, Mariel, I love R&B music, and maybe Dave Hollister is one of my favorites because of that, because of his voice, because of his kind of the kind of music that he does that is pure
Oh yeah.
R&B music.
Oh yeah.
So yes,
I think you are right, Mal, because when we listen to his music, we can feel that it's very well produced. It's not
Oh
cheap
no, no, no,
like some
no.
cases that we mentioned here.
yes,
For me, it was a very good production and the voice and even the song. But is this is for R&B
Same,
lovers and
same thing happens with
yes,
don't
country
connect
yes,
with
singers.
us
Like,
yet.
I don't know, some people love Tim McGraw, and I listen to Tim McGraw, and I'm like, this is too country for me. This is like, yes, and some
for me,
singers
yes,
mix
Yes.
other genres with country, and like more pop, like Shania Twain or Carrie Underwood, and they don't sound
yes,
so country, and that's why I like that. But sometimes
And that
they
works,
are
yeah.
so much into their genre that it's like, yes, this is too much of this. If you're not a huge fan of that genre, so yeah.
Yes. If you're yes, yes, I think maybe this happened with Mariah Carey, for
Yes.
example. Mariel, you love Mariah Carey, but because Mariah Carey is a pop singer doing R&B, she's an R&B singer too. Of course, she's a soul singer, but at the same time, she's mixing with a lot of pop music and pop elements in her music. So yes, I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. Yes, it's very
After all,
interesting.
I think we learned it
Mm-hmm.
today that it's all about the song. Sometimes it's not even
Yes,
about the artist, it's about the song. If it's the right
yes,
song,
Yes. And well,
we
to
can listen.
finish, I have some questions like to the
yes,
games that
totally.
we always do. And I want to ask
Yeah.
Lucas,
Woo, woo, woo.
from the artists that you talked about today, Cheryl, Nick, and Marie, uh, how do you like them better, as solo or as part of a band?
Oh God. Okay. Nick Carter, I prefer the Backstreet Boys, of course. Cheryl, I prefer the solo career than Girls Aloud for sure. And I prefer 18s because they had more songs and more good songs
And what about the
than
ones
Marie,
you
so
chose,
for
Mao?
sure.
Toby, Tinashe, and Dave.
Okay, I prefer Dave in the Blackstreet, of course, in the Blackstreet work. Even I love Dave Hollister solo albums, but of course Blackstreet is part of my favorites. I prefer Tinashe as a solo, of course, because I don't know very much about the standards. And Toby Mac, I prefer his work in DC Talk. Even when I was a huge fan of him when I was a kid, I feel more connected to the music of DC Talk because it was a
Okay.
very important part of my
And about
childhood.
the
So
ones I
yes.
chose, I go with Fergie. Yeah, Fergie on a group, Justin
What
as a
about you? Yes.
solo, and Angel solo. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I love
Oh,
and
Justin
sing.
as a solo? This is a
No,
big surprise.
No, I love and
Angel is a
sing, but I
surprise for me
think that
too.
Justin is really talented. And he always stood out for me when he was in NSYNC. So I think that
Okay.
he, yes. And Angel, I know that No Secrets
Okay.
wasn't gonna
Okay.
last.
Okay.
So yeah, we all know what happens. We all know what happens with girl
It's an
groups.
honest answer.
They don't ever last. So anyway, next question.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
if you could choose one of the singers that you chose, Lucas, the best debut single, what would it be? Mao?
A fight for this love.
Oh wow. Mm, two on by Tinesha.
I'm thinking.
What about you, Margaret?
Yeah, London Bridge by Fergie. Yes, I think that was a very good choice.
London Bridge. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and now a final
Yes, a banger.
question
Totally.
from the groups that you mentioned today. Who do you think would have had more chances to become more popular as a solo singer?
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Um, actually, the
I will.
Backstreet
You
Boys,
use
only
took the words.
Kevin
Yeah.
don't have a solo album. But for me, it was Nick for sure. It was the best choice. Unfortunately, it was not big. But when I think about the others, maybe if Brian was the first to release
Not
music
Christian.
and release it pop music, not a Christian album, it would be good. But I will still stay with Nick Carter. And the Girls Aloud, for me, is still Cheryl. I'm not a huge fan of the other girls. Even Nadine, that has kind of a cool album, but I'm not super interested in the music. And the 18s, all of them releasing music too. And I gotta say that I really enjoy Empty, the Boy album. in 2008 that is very pop rock and is very the type of music that I like. So if I have to choose, like today, I will listen Marie or Amit Paul.
Okay.
I would prefer the guy
Okay. And what
than
about
her music.
the groups
Yes.
you talked about today, Mao? Uh,
Wow, very interesting question, mi Mariel. In the case of DC Talk, it's the same case. Every member of the group had the opportunity to release a solo album. Actually, one of the members is Michael Tide, that released solo albums, and now is part of a group that is called
mhm.
Newsboys, that is very known in the Christian music industry. So I think maybe Michael Tite, because yes, of course Toby Mac had all, but and actually, if you ask me
Mhm.
about my favorite, is Kevin Max, the other. So because I enjoy so much his debut album as a solo singer, but I think Michael Tate was more prolific, like doing a lot of things, like in Newsboys and in his solo career. He had a lot of collaborations, actually,
Mhm.
even with Jackie Velasquez and other singers. So yes. In the case of the Stuners, I don't know the other girls, so
Okay.
I just read the names and that's all. So Tinashe was, of course, the option. And in the case of Blackstreet, well, Teddy Riley was part of Blackstreet too. Teddy Riley is a huge producer and had the opportunity to be a member of other group that is Guy, that was an 80s act, 80s group. So I don't know. I think Teddy Riley could be more known in the music scene, not only as a producer, more as a singer, because he had all the potential to do that. So I think it was weird not have right now a Teddy Riley release of his own. It's weird because he had a lot of
Okay.
things in that moment. So Teddy Riley, yes.
I was going to
Mao,
say
don't
that.
you know Hayley Kiyoko? She was part of this.
The
Yeah,
Japanese
the
one.
Stunners too. If you don't know her,
Oh,
I will send you a few songs. Yeah, she's. I
okay,
prefer
okay.
her
No, no,
than
guys.
Tinashe. I listen to her
Okay.
a lot.
Okay, guys. Please
Yes, she was part of
illuminate
them.
me in that
And for
because I don't
me,
know.
Okay.
from NSYNC, I think JC. Yeah. His
Love
album
JC.
wasn't so well
I'm a
received,
huge fan of
unfortunately.
JC.
But I think
And it's a shame because he's great.
Yes, the second one was even better and
no, I know.
didn't
So it's a
even
shame because
was
I think
released.
JC also has very good voice and he's good looking too. Good looking when he was younger.
Yes,
Nowadays he's so
amazing voice.
bald and I don't know, poor guy. Um, I don't know. The last time I watched him, I was like,
Yes.
this is so cringe to see him like this because he was so handsome. And all of a sudden now he's like this 50-year-old guy. I don't know, looks weird. No, he's not 50, but he looks older. And
It's true.
from
It's true. It's true.
Fergie and Wild Orchid, probably Stephanie. Stephanie did release some songs, and she's married to Ron Fair, who's a very well-known producer. So, yes, so Stephanie. And from No
Okay.
Secrets, I really like Jessie Malay's albums and well, her songs. But I think Erin, who
Yes.
changed her name to Nikki Fox, had the potential to do something kind of a Willa Ford thing, but she only released a couple of songs and nothing else.
Oh,
So yeah, I think Erin and Jessie. Well, Jessie. Well, I really connect to Jessie because she's also Filipina, and I am half Filipina from my family.
Yeah.
So in the booty
Yes.
banks,
And the
yes.
booty banks. The booty banks.
Yes, she's very talented. So yeah, those are the ones. Well, to finish, thank you so much, guys, for sharing with us your thoughts and your knowledge on these artists that we talked about today. I know there is a lot more to talk about when it comes to solo singers that were part of a band. But we will definitely make a follow up, so don't worry. Definitely, we will make a second or even third episode on this because it's a huge thing. But anyway, anything else you guys want to add, Lucas, Mau?
I just want to say thank you guys for this episode that we should call Deja Vu.
Yes.
Is a intern joke here. You guys will
Yes.
understand, but okay. I want to say thank you to everyone watching us. The comments, the feedbacks are amazing. We are really happy, and we hope that more people can connect to us and tell your opinion about the subjects we are talking here. Don't forget to subscribe and all of those things that helps these three friends to
Please.
go on with this video cast
Now?
that we love so much. So thank you.
Oh, guys, thank you so much. I think with this episode, we discover a part that maybe is hidden in ourselves. So, and I find this very interesting because when we were talking about this, like, what is the element that makes this connection with the music for the three of us is very interesting. So I think we discovered this in this episode. Thank you so much. And you know that you're gonna have a playlist in Spotify with all the singers that we mentioned today that you're going
In the
to
description
find
box.
in the box below.
The description.
So in the description, yes, in the description below. So thank you so much, guys. Love you as always. Thank you the audience.
Yes, thank you
We
so
love
much,
you
guys.
too, and
See you next
time.
episode.
Bye.
Stop.
Bye.